I never quit, you know what I mean? But just telling yourself, like, if I looked at the life I have now at 14 to 15, I would like to have like more money, but that don't mean nothing. Some others, they may have shied away from that because of my reputation at that point in time, but it's all a matter of knowing the whole person, right? Because if you knew me, you would know that I'm extremely intelligent. I'm a hard worker. I had a personality. I wasn't afraid to show it. Can I get this? And he's like, no. I was like, I know you got the money. He pulled the money. I said, this is my money. You know what I'm saying? Not sure. You don't need that. He's like, you don't need none of that stuff. So you could let it go. He's like, no builds character. So no. And laughed and put the money back in his pocket.
What's up? Welcome to the You Know's Best Pod. I appreciate your support. In return, I hope I provide you with some worthwhile gems that benefit you on your journey. At the very least, I hope I put a smile on your face. If not, hopefully you share this with someone that does benefit. And I got you next time. Again, thanks for joining today, and let's get this thing going.
Welcome to another episode of the Hube Knows Best Pod. I'm going to give you the truth, the whole truth, so help me God, as best as I can. So, got the homie Hollis here. You can say your whole name is just Hollis.
Hollis Fullilove.
Fullilove.
Yep.
Right. Showing love today. Hollis is an entrepreneur from the Midwest.
Yep.
East Chicago.
East Chicago, Indiana.
Because if you're not from here, you won't know the difference.
Right? No, you will not.
There's Chicago. There's East Chicago. But East Chicago is weird.
It's in Indiana. So it's very similar to how East St. Louis is in Illinois or how Kansas City is in Missouri.
Right.
You know, there's also Kansas City, Kansas, but no. Yes. You know, it's the same concept. We east of Chicago and we're in the state of Indiana, which if you look on the map, they're direct neighbors.
Yeah. And I learned that when I moved here.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, big time entrepreneur, big pillar in the community, new father.
New father, yeah. Right. Oh, wow. I like that one. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Yep.
So, you know, I wanted to bring him on. It's tax season.
Yep.
You know, Hollis is an expert in getting people in their taxes right.
Yep.
I ain't gonna say getting people money because sometimes you're gonna end up paying.
I'm an accountant. We like to put it like that. I'm an accountant.
Yes.
Yep.
Big time accountant.
Yeah.
But yeah, so thanks for coming on the show, bro.
I appreciate you for having me, most definitely. I like to run my mouth, so this is always something that works for me, but I appreciate it.
So yeah, I was so like you say, you're from East Chicago,
yep.
Right? And really it's interesting, like you play sports, right?
Yes.
Right.
Play football, basketball, baseball, all the things.
Yeah. And went to Butler.
Yep.
But what made you want to get into accounting?
Okay, so I was always really good at math. Was a typically very high achieving student. As I like to so humbly put it. But from a standpoint of when I went to school, that's 2010, we were still in like the recession. And you would get on the news and see people that had college degrees that was homeless in certain areas. And, you know, not really knowing too much about what that was about, I was like, okay, I need to find a way to get a job ASAP, right? So my freshman year, I had I knew I wanted to be in business. I knew I wanted to own my own business. I didn't really know what that meant at the time. I didn't have any entrepreneurship in my family like that I could really see and touch and feel. But so we had exploratory business classes, and we also had to start businesses at Butler. Like as a part of the business curriculum, you have to run a business your freshman and sophomore year. So in my exploratory business class, there was a graphic that one of my professors had put up there, and it listed the highest paying majors in the business college as well as the highest job placement. And accounting was number 2. With the median income at $70,000 and the job placement was 100%. So immediately me thinking like, you know, hey, I ain't trying to be homeless. I'm doing this, right? And so I think it's something that goes into having like that kind of singular focus with things because it's not like I had a passion for accounting. I didn't even know what accounting was. I just knew like, all right, well, this is a clear way I could find a way to be okay after I graduate college. I'm only a freshman, you know, but I didn't want to be a situation where I didn't know what I was going to do or where I was going to go. You know, I wanted to get to it. So from that standpoint, I just was like, I decided that's what I was going to do. I went to my advisor and changed my major to accounting immediately. And they was like, you know, you're only a freshman. You got time. I was like, nah, I'm going to do this. So I didn't even have an accounting class until my sophomore year. And when I had it, I was so focused on I'm going to be an accountant. I got a 99% A in that class. Mm-hmm. So, and it just made sense to me. But I think it's something, it goes to the fact like, you know, I had said, I'm going to do this. This is an easy, clear path to me. I'm good at math. I didn't even know what accounting was, but I was like, if I can do this and I can make $70,000, mind you, I just did my FAFSA. So I know in my parents' situation, where that would put me at. I'm like, all right, bet. So I'm doing this. You know what I mean? And yeah, facts. I've just been doing this since. You know
what was your major before you changed?
I was exploratory business. So that was only a couple of weeks. I found that accounting major within the first month of being in college.
Okay. So it's like, I guess exploratory business is like really just like general.
Anything general in the business category that you can declare as exploratory, and they ask you to pick a major at the end of your freshman year.
Okay.
Yep.
Bet. And so then you matriculate through college, right?
Yep.
In that time, you know, you did some other extracurricular activities. Right?
Like I was an RA?
No. I mean, to go through, like, because we Black, right? It's Black History Month.
Yeah,
You're also a member of a Black Greek letter organization.
Yeah, Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. Yeah, so I became a Q. That was a great choice, one of the greatest choices. So, I mean, honestly, I don't even know if I would have my business if it wasn't for the frat, because a little bit after that, after I graduated, I had a job and I hadn't started my business yet. I wasn't even a thought. I had a job. I was unhappy. And my barber was the Q's, and he owned his own business. He had a tax office. He was a barber. He had real estate. You know what I mean? He worked for himself. Facts. You know what I'm saying? He worked for himself. And, you know what I mean? I still couldn't see that for me. I was 22. And I was just telling him, like, I really was unhappy in the job I had. And he was like, read this book. He gave me the book. And some people, don't like the book. It's Rich Dad, Poor Dad. He gave me the book, and it really was like clicking to me, like, wow, like, there's an alternative way to try to live your life. And being an entrepreneur is the only way where you can only really control your environment.
Right.
And kind of the same thing where I chose this major to be an accountant. It was the same message where it's like, I found truth here, and I could find a direct line to what this person was saying, to how it affected my actual real life, right, and what I was actually dealing with. And regardless if the author or the person giving the message might not be a truth teller, because people have different things about the guy that wrote that book. Right. But personally, I could find something that made sense to me. And I just was like, well, this is what I'm doing now. And I started 4 businesses in that month. And my frat brother sat me down and showed me how to do it, told me all the paperwork I needed to fill out, what I needed to do to be compliant. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna start my own accounting firm.
That's what's up, bro. Like, I think a lot of times with people, they're not humble enough to ask somebody else, like, hey, how do I do this? How do I process? Facts. But also, like, you never know what you're going to take from something, right? Just because everybody doesn't agree with this person. Facts. Or, like, even taking advice from somebody that's a barber, right? Yeah. Most people not thinking, oh, this barber is doing other things outside of being a barber, right? Yep. And just being saying, like, okay, I'm gonna listen, bro, because he's successful at what he's doing, right? You said he was doing taxes, and
so he had like a commercial building where one side was the barbershop, and then another office space was his tax office. His brother was running it out of there.
See, so like, I think that's super dope, because there's always a different way to like build wealth or build, like, a sustainable lifestyle. Facts. For your family that's not traditional. Like, it ain't a corporate 9-to-5.
Facts.
I think a lot of times people won't be like, well, they sell this American dream. You gotta go do the 9-to-5.
Facts.
Or you won't ever make no money.
And this is somebody who I seen had 2 kids. He was homeschooling his kids, had his wife. He was happy. You know what I'm saying? He had a smile on his face every day. He had money in his pocket. When he said he wanted to go buy a new car, he bought a new car. When he said he wanted to go buy some more property, he bought some more property. He was growing, you know what I'm saying? In his late 30s to early 40s, you know what I'm saying? I could see, like, this is a life I could tangibly feel and touch. And then when I started to think about it, there was another person in my own community I grew up with, my neighbor. He kind of was in the same lane where he was like an entrepreneur, and I was the only entrepreneur we all knew, you know what I'm saying? But at the time when he started, I was in high school, you know what I'm saying? So it was very early in that process. So what he was doing was he had a cell phone store, and he grew the cell phone business out to where he became the biggest retailer for that particular type of cell phone in the Midwest. And on top of that, he started building out his portfolio of real estate, which now is super huge. You know what I'm saying? Okay. And we seen him become a millionaire, but I seen it because number one, that was my neighbor. He was my substitute teacher. You know what I mean? Because when he had the cell phone store, he was substitute teaching too. You know what I'm saying? And on the other side, it was like, when I got back home, from being in Indianapolis where I was in school to coming home and I got my own business, I rented out space from me. You know what I'm saying? So I could build my business. And I'm watching him every day, just kind of seeing how, you know, he ran his organization. So yeah, it was like, for me, I was tired of like having to dress a certain way, talk a certain way, people talking to me a certain way. Mm-hmm. It was like, I ain't got to, whatever my parents put into me and my family put into me, I've got this irrational confidence, mentality that I'm special and I should be treated as such. But not that I'm a prima donna, but I want to be valued. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't being valued in corporate America, so I had to get up out of there.
No, I think that's very true for a lot of like people that are like us. Like, we have our common friend Marty. I always say like, Hollis is me if I had as much money as Hollis does. But it is like this thing where you know who you are. Yeah. And you're confident in that. Yep. Right? I was just at church today and they was talking about how that having humility and being confident and people taking it as arrogance. Yeah. Right? Facts. All the time. And like, it's funny that like one of my mentors at work told me that there's a fine line between confidence, cockiness, and arrogance. Facts. He said confidence is knowing that you could do something that you've proven over time. Mm-hmm. Cockiness is knowing that you can do something that you have yet to prove. Yep. And arrogance is knowing that you cannot do something and still insisting that you can. Yeah. So I would say also confidence, to like piggyback on that, confidence comes from putting the work in. Right. So I know I do it all the time because I'm going to spend 20 hours a day if I got to make sure that whatever it is we're doing, it's going to happen and I'm going to stand on that. You know what I mean? That's where the confidence came from. Right. Like just having that mentality of like, whatever has got to be done, I'm going to do every single thing to make sure that happens. Right. And so we met, we didn't even meet through Marty. We met in the Bay. Right. And you were out there doing the corporate thing. Yeah. So it's a journey. So let's kind of rewind. Yeah. So when I was in college, I was an intern at the largest financial services firm in the world, right? And they had me from sophomore, junior, senior year. I started in accounting. You have to have 150 credit hours to go into public accounting and be able to sit for the CPA exam or already have it. Right. I did it a different way. I was like, look, I'm not about to spend another $40,000, $50,000 getting a master's in accounting at Butler. I went to community college, took whatever courses that would fit that curriculum so I could sit for the CPA, met that requirement, and I already had started my business, but then I moved back home and was working in Chicago at that same firm I interned at. And simultaneously running my business and doing that. And I wasn't taking it too serious at first. But as time went on, I could start to see, even in this, now this was not the same job I was hating. This was a totally different, this is like a career. People take this as a career, and this is the MBA of accounting, you know what I'm saying? Like the highest of the high. And from that standpoint, I thought maybe I was going to be able to do that for a long time. I gave it a real shot, but then you easily start to see this is not an environment that I can truly succeed in while remaining who I am. Mm-hmm. I'm going to have to compromise a few of my, not even so much from an integrity standpoint, just your personality, or compromise who you are, the essence of you as a person, specifically being a Black man from the neighborhood I come from and the relationship I have with people in that neighborhood. I could not be myself. I was going to have to start getting bad haircuts and wearing weird clothes and bad shoes to be, successful. They weren't going to buy you the true Hollis.
No, I was going to have to be like Braxton, Hardner-Brigg to be successful in that environment. For me. Now, others might not have to, but me personally, that was going to have to happen. Yeah. So it's not that I had any issues in that moment in time. I just was like, let me really try to give what I also have available to me, because at this point, my business is starting to grow. Like I did at the time, I'm living above my parents' house in the apartment they had above their home. I had rehabbed it, so I'm not paying rent. Only thing I got is a car note. I'm like, I done put away this money doing people's taxes in my neighborhood. And I did I think 150 tax returns in that second year I was in business. And it was like, all right, this is a sustainable living if I actually give it my whole focus, right? Yeah. So I quit and I was like, I'm gonna be an entrepreneur. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't do anything for the next 6 to 8 months. I really was playing video games and trying to figure out, I'm just sitting on a bunch of money. Like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I'm gonna be ready for tax season now. And so right around the time tax season was starting to happen, well, I say November, I started getting more serious, but I also started having other desires. Like, man, I want to like be an entrepreneur and do other things other than just taxes. I want to move to other places and experience other ways of life, not just be in this bubble of Indiana. And me and Marty had a conversation where it was like, you know, I want to do what I do, but I'm so limited in how I can affect people here because it's only one of me, or even if I had 10 people, you only do the work of 10 people. You know what I mean? Right. You can't help people on a larger scale. And the conversation of like how technology could really play into that came into being. So in my mind, you know, I was like, all right, we have this idea that we're working on together. How can we really make it happen? I'm gonna just come move to the Bay. You know what I'm saying? Like none of that's happening in where I live at. Like none of this is happening in this space. I seen American Gangster. Frank Lucas said he wanted to go get that stuff. He had to go get it. So right. I was like, I'm gonna go where they making it at and figure it out. And you know, it didn't work that way, but I went over there and we was able to like live in the same building and, you know, kind of build on that idea and continue to build even now on that idea. But it's like, I needed to find a way to now supplement the living expenses that came with living in that area because, you know, it's super expensive. And I don't want to sacrifice the ability to grow the business. So what I did, I went back to work. I looked at it as I'm going to grad school, right? I'm going to learn how to scale my business the largest way I possibly can. I'm going back to this same company. I'm working in a different capacity because I still had the relationship. Like I said, I never had a bad experience. I just wanted to try my own hand. And it was like, okay, I don't know enough to really be an entrepreneur. I sat down for 8 months and didn't do anything. But now I got the ability to learn at the highest level how to build a business in the financial services realm. Also, I got this other idea I'm working on, and I just thought it was like a good marriage of those things. And with me now having a job, I don't have to live off of the business money. I'm taking the business money. I got an office. I hired some people, and we actually, you know, got a traditional business. I had seen Nipsey Hussle do it, so I did the same thing. I went right to my hood. Like I said, that same person who I knew, he had office space. Mm-hmm. I rented it from him. We got it all remodeled, and I had my friends working for me, and it was like, you know, this is how we work. You know what I mean? Yeah.
And I think a lot of times people forget that, like, you can go learn something. Like, I think a lot of times people go to their 9-to-5 job and learn absolutely nothing.
No, you need to learn everything from there.
Yeah. Right. Like, how to scale your business, yep. how to create SOPs, yep. how things structure, how you don't want your company to be structured.
Yep. What deliverables you give your customers. How do you charge? What's the time? What's the rates? Mm-hmm. How are they financing this whole operation? Right? Like, because typically nobody just has a bunch of money and they paying for everything. They got some kind of loans or backing or some kind of relationship with some kind of bank. And it's like knowing all those things, I didn't know. You know what I'm saying? So now I had the opportunity to go out into it. And still, I was 24, 25, to go out into this larger organization and really kind of soak up as much as I can at the highest level. You know what I mean? And it was exciting, extremely exciting prospect. But as you know, that's like the things that you expect you going into is not how it always plays out.
Yeah, it never, like, but I think that's the important piece of being able to pivot, right?
Yeah.
Being able to adjust on the fly. I think the biggest thing I took from my MBA is just like understanding that even something that is seemingly perfect has a flaw.
Oh, it always does.
Right. Like
and then you're not perfect. You're going to have flaws.
Right. And I implore everybody to look into design thinking because it will make you look at everything around you and think about how you can make it better.
Yep.
Right. Yep. Like even in your everyday life, like, hey, I wake up at this time. Maybe if I wake up 30 minutes earlier, I can get this much more done in my day, have more free time at the back end of my day. Right. Because maybe that you waking up 30 minutes earlier get you through traffic quicker, which means you can go to work quicker. Mm-hmm. Get whatever you need to get done, which means you can leave earlier and have more productive time to do whatever your after 5 business is after work.
Facts.
Instead of sitting at work trying to avoid traffic.
Yep.
Like,
now you angry. You come in with a bad attitude. You ain't get the time you needed to maybe decompress when you woke up in the morning, prepare yourself to be able to deal with that.
Right.
It's like you have to think, and I guess that also comes with accounting. Because it's the law of conservatism. You got to just assume the worst in every situation. Yeah. Right? We're going to make the least amount of money as possible. We're going to have the highest expenses as possible. And we got to be able to operate in that, whatever that margin is between making the least amount and having the most expenses. Right. So then if you don't have as high as expenses or if you make more money, it's great.
That's extra.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And so that's kind of how I still to this day live my life. Like I'm gonna assume not the worst in terms of, oh my goodness, everything is gonna fall. And you do go through that, but then confidence of being able to prove yourself in different places and saying, okay, look, I know we're gonna do this. And I put the work in to assure we're gonna do this. Assuming that, man, you know, everything could go wrong, or I'm prepared for all those things to go wrong, and I'm gonna be able to handle it if it does. So when it doesn't, it's a great day. You know what I mean? Everything did not fall apart. It's a great day.
Right. So you in the Bay.
Yeah.
And I found out you gone.
Yeah.
Hollis is out. Right?
Yeah, I'm peaced out. I was out of there. So that was a number of different things. The first of it being, all right, so I'm in this job. I'm supposed to be like in grad school learning about how to be better at my business. The first week I had my office open, we had a big party it was crazy, wasn't it? Yeah, it's crazy how things just like stay the same, but they change and they elevate. So we had this event at the office, like a grand opening. We welcomed all our clients out. We had champagne and hors d'oeuvres, and it was dope. Mind you, just a smack dab in the hood, you know what I'm saying? So what happens that day is there's a huge fire that takes place somewhere else in the city. So now the fire department comes out and does like these very particular fire inspections on each business operating in the city. Cool. So we failed the fire inspection. No big deal. We get that fixed, right? Both of my employees got to have emergency surgeries. One of them tore their ACL. The other one had like a gallbladder surgery. So they alternate days when they in and out. It's like then the next door neighbor, which is my, you know, I guess you could say mentor.
Yeah.
His business gets like burglarized. They break a window and everything. Thankfully, they don't bother us, but it's like everything that could go wrong went wrong. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I get put on a project at that job that's going to now have me flying from the Bay Area. I used to catch a 6 a.m. flight from Oakland to Los Angeles. I'm going the whole week. I come back on Thursday night and I either come back to Oakland in the Bay Area or I fly to Chicago to go check on my business. My dog died where my parents was at in Indiana. It was like everything that could go wrong went wrong in this period of time. My job was terrible. The team I was on was horrible. People was like, it was just bad, bro. Like everything that could go wrong went wrong. But the fact of the matter is, you talk about having to pivot, you also have to know how to endure. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
At that period of time, I didn't quit. I didn't give up. I didn't back down. It was some very tough times, but I was understood like I have to go through this. And on the other side of it, I'll be able to have whatever it is that the reward is. You know what I'm saying? So we get through it, decide that, you know, look, I don't need to do this corporate America thing anymore. I'm learning to learn. I'm done with it. Be done. This is not for me. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to be an entrepreneur.
Right.
So we go through the rest of that year and I'm gearing back up to like revamp the business. And my goal is, all right, I got this office space at home. I could open up an office in Indianapolis just as easy because I got my business is 50-50 there. And I could open up an office out here in the Bay. I could open up an office in LA. I need to franchise this, right? I could sell these to people. But in order for me to do that, I got to have everything documented, the SOPs, how we do business. It needs to be documented and recorded, and we know that it actually works. So for me to actually do that, I need to be here. So when tax season starts in 2020, you know what I'm saying, I go back to Chicago. I still got my place in the Bay. I go back to Chicago, like ready to rock and roll. And COVID-19 happens, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, dang, I mean, ultimately ended up being great for business, but it was no point in me being in the Bay at this point because now I'm at home with my family and my friends, and at least we can enjoy each other's company. Or I can go back to the Bay and be stuck in my apartment where the restrictions is way more heavy.
Stringent.
Yeah, like you can't do nothing in California. Like you cannot leave your crib. Only thing I was doing, I went back a couple times to visit or to like check on my stuff and check on stuff. Like the only thing that I was seeing I could do was go walk the trail, like exercise outside, or go to the grocery store. Yeah. That's it. And it was like, bro, I'm not doing this. I could go sit on the porch with my homies. At least I got friends out there. Everybody had left. It was like no point in being there.
Nah. Well, so two things. When we say SOPs, standard operating procedures.
Yep.
Don't want to use terminology that everybody don't really understand, but like that is basically how you run your business. Like what has to be done for this to get done.
Yep.
What can't be done. This is how we're going to deliver things to our customers.
Yep.
Like it is basically the constitution of your business.
Yep.
Right.
The playbook.
The playbook. But to your point, that's why I left.
Yeah.
Like about like I don't know how everybody else's experience was in the first 3-4 months of the pandemic, but living in the Bay Area, it was rough. And you were further out where it was a little bit more lax.
Yeah.
I was in the city of Oakland, and
yeah, I was in the burbs.
You couldn't be out past a certain time. They had social distancing at Whole Foods, so like I don't know how it was in Indiana, but like they had boxes that you had to stand in.
When you in line?
Yeah.
No, it wasn't like that in Indiana. Indiana, a red state, they weren't really tripping like that.
Bro, and the crazy thing is when I left, right? Because my parents are older and they both have their underlying health conditions.
Yeah.
So I was stressing.
Yeah, facts.
Being so far away from my family. And I was like, why am I paying rent to sit in the house?
Yeah.
Like, I was only paying the rent because I was going in the office, and now I'm not going in the office, so there's really no point in me being there.
Yeah.
But like when I drove I drove cross country to go home because I thought that was more fun than shipping my car.
I shipped my car twice to get to California and to get back.
Yeah, I've never shipped my car to move, but I got back to Georgia. Mm-hmm. And saw how open Georgia was. I was disgusted.
It was wild.
I had to leave my Bay Area sensibilities about COVID and this social distancing. Like people was in the club.
We outside.
They was outside. Mask on.
Facts. The blue flame. All of it.
They weren't even 6 inches of space, let alone 6 feet.
No, we was outside, man.
Yeah, I was like, bro.
I was in Atlanta like every other week. We was outside.
That's crazy. Like moving back home to Georgia, like meeting so many people that had left Indiana, like Danny. Yeah. I met like the homies like John, Christian, like all these Indiana people have moved in.
Facts.
Like,
it was cracking.
Right.
Mind you, I'm out there all the time. Everybody get in Atlanta. I'm like, oh, we living.
Yeah, like Atlanta was the new like Indianapolis.
Facts. Yeah. Everybody had moved. When Danny moved, it was like, all right, cool. So this is like 2021. We really started hanging out heavy like the end of 2020. So like 2021, I got stuck there because of a snowstorm for 2 weeks. I was standing at that crib. We was having a ball. I'm like, man, I love Atlanta. I might need to move out here. Like, it's lit.
Atlanta's fool's gold there.
Oh, definitely. 1,000%.
All right. So you come back home.
Yeah.
And like you got the energy of family and friends.
Yeah. Right.
And like, let's talk about that journey. Like, so we're in the pandemic.
Yep.
And we come out.
No. We got to stay in the pandemic for a while.
All right, let's talk about the pandemic.
So back to working in corporate America and not feeling that value. My second time around with that company, the first time was great. The second time, it was like blatant, like trying to diminish your value and what you bring to the table. Okay. In public accounting and consulting, you work in teams. And the thing about these teams is it's not like they define your role for you up top. And especially if you ain't start with the team. So they'll throw you on the team a year into a project. Right. And these people got defined roles. They just gonna give you like the nonsense work. You know what I'm saying? So, but I'm a type of person, you give me nothing, I'm gonna make it something. So I went through this whole experience where they asked me to put together a business continuity plan for a very large company that had just recently pivoted their business, right? So they sold a bunch of business. They needed now to have a whole new finance department and a whole new way, SOPs, way of doing business. So I put together this business continuity plan, assuming that if everything went wrong, they could still run their business, right? So I spent like 3 months putting this together. This is what it was assigned to me to do, right? One life story asked me to do something different. This is what I was told to do. I did it, executed it, went really well. They were very happy with it. My direct lead came to me and was like, I don't know why you wasted your time doing this. This really doesn't mean much to their business. I'm like, this is what you told me to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, right. It's cool. So then, funny, 6 months later, the pandemic happens and I know they're using my work to actually operate their organization. So it's cool. I leave, I'm at home, tax season, everything going smooth. People value my opinion here. I can see the direct impact I'm having on people in this space from every level. The movers and the shakers to just the regular people trying to get their tax refund. I can see how much they value the work that my company does because I still got people working in the office with me. Right. So everything going really smooth. And I'm, like I said, that renewed energy. It's like, okay, I can really see I can make an impact here and I can actually help. But then the pandemic happens and now all these local businesses who actually are going to be eligible to get this funding, they don't know how to get access to it. And I was very instrumental in helping that happen for a lot of companies, right? Because it was just having information. I remember when, if you can go on my Facebook right now, the day that the government released the PPP program and the EIDL program, I went live for an hour straight explaining what these programs is, explaining how you get access to this money. And, you know, not even thinking I could charge people to do it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It was never crossed my mind to do that. It was just like, put the information out there, let people get access to it, just save money. Because it was also like child tax credit got expanded, all these different things, the stimulus checks, all these different things the government released. And I went out and I explained all this for an hour. It's still on my Facebook page. And all of a sudden, a couple months later, when these programs start rolling out and people start realizing that it was actually money attached to it, my phone started blowing off the hook. And you have to wade through some of that, like the scammy, you know, the scammy and all that. But thankfully, one of the missions that we had as a company was like, if people are doing business and it's not buttoned up, we're going to try to help them first. So now I'm not talking about in 2020. I mean, 2016. It's people who have companies who did not have everything structured correctly. We invested in that early. Like, let's try to get you all the way together on paper. So now 4 years later, they can reap the benefits of being everything tied up. They got their tax returns in line from 16, 17, 18, 19. Everything made sense so they can now take advantage of this opportunity.
Right.
You know what I mean? And for us, it was like, well, we don't even have to go out and try to market this, try to get business because it was so scammy. It was so just, me personally, I was like, it ain't worth the headache that's going to come with it.
Mm-hmm.
I got a ton of clients that I can already tap into this with, and I'm adding value to make sure they're getting the money. We're not charging no percentages. We just just want to be paid for our time. And it really helped us kind of, the business like blossom from there, right? But now it's like, you have to be smart enough to realize, like you said, fool's gold. This is a flash in the pan. You can't build your business off this. This is not coming around forever. This is a one-time thing. Thankfully, it happened twice, but still, it's not a situation that you can actually build a company on. So now my focus shifted to, how are we going to actually scale this business? How are we going to, like, what are going to be the products and services we're going to put together to really build a 7, 8, 9 figure company where it's not just, you cannot just do tax returns, right? And that kind of put us into the iteration of coming out of the pandemic and what we're doing over the last 2 or 3 years.
Okay. So let's go back a little bit. So you basically were giving away like free game.
Yeah.
Right. And I think a lot of times people don't understand the value of giving free game, but having something to back it up, to do something with it.
Bro.
Right? Like, because everything doesn't have, and I think that's what happens in our community. Like, people get so jaded.
I'm going to teach a course.
Yeah. Like, no, bro, just tell people what they need to
know
do.
what you doing.
Right. Just tell them what to do from what you know.
Yep.
And then let them come. Because if you give them enough information, they're going to be like, well, dude told me.
He know what he's talking about. Yeah.
Let me go talk to him real quick.
Facts.
And now you can charge them.
Mind you, I've been in this business for years. You know what I'm saying? And it was like, so people had a certain level of trust too. Like, well, I know he know what he's talking about because this is the business that he's in. You know what I'm saying? And it was not all pretty. Like, a lot of the times, the way we were doing business back then, which is why we don't do it like this anymore, in the tax game, like when you're doing people's tax refunds, there are larger banks that will split the refund, give you your portion, and they'll also front you the money and do the tax advances and all that. So with that being said, they typically create these temporary bank accounts for people when they do that. And that's what's on the face of the tax return, right? It's like a financial product that you using as a tax preparer to receive your money, and you don't got to worry about nobody paying you. I'm familiar. That thing was not ideal because now that people getting stimulus checks, they're going to send a stimulus check based off of the bank account that's on the tax return, which is not their real bank account. It's a temporary account that was closed. So I had to call 100 people and let them know this and be like, look, we're going to figure out how to get you your money. That was not fun. They upset at me, not understanding. You know, everybody can't comprehend at the same level, but that was not a fun thing, which is why I said I'll never do that again. Because if any unforeseen, right now, I'm assuming something like that's going to happen because the law is just passed to expand out the child tax credit, right? Which it may mean that some people who've already filed their taxes are going to have to get a stimulus or a payout over a course of time. If we didn't have their regular bank account on there, it'll make it a hard thing for people to get their money.
Because a lot of people in our community don't have bank accounts. Exactly.
Bro, it was a like pulling teeth trying to figure this out. And it's not the people's fault. It was the IRS. But everybody's scrambling at this time because of COVID. But yes, because we had so much equity in our relationships, and we had so much equity in doing the actual work and not looking to get paid, not just like everything being transactional. that when that opportunity matched with timing, the timing and opportunity matched perfectly, we was uniquely positioned. And again, I never tried to do this all over the country. I was just only focused on my little pocket of America, where we were able to super hyper focus and get that done for everybody who was legally supposed to get it.
And I think I think there's something to that though, right? Mm-hmm. Like building your brand in your area, right? I think a lot, like understanding your market and what's your like I guess total addressable market. Yeah. At a certain point, right? I think a lot of times people are like, oh, I want to be global. Right? Yeah. Facts. Like I want to expand here. But bro, you're not even
I tried that.
Where you from?
I tried that though. Right. I moved to California early. Right. I'm 2 years in.
And you learn from your mistakes.
I learned. Yep. I definitely learned. So you got to really hyper focus and dominate your space first. Right. So even now, like I would say right now, from a business standpoint, if you are a Black professional, anywhere between the ages of 25 to 45, from the South, I can't even say Chicago, the South suburbs on down to Indianapolis, it's a chance you may have heard of our company. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Or if you looking for this kind of work, whether it be in taxes or accounting, and you speak to somebody, we going to be one of the few names that they're going to bring up if you're talking about those type of services. You know what I'm saying?
And the name of the service is?
Oh, so the name of the company is Crane Financial. Yeah. Services we provide, we do tax preparation, tax planning, and then we do an outsourced accounting function for small business.
Okay. Yeah, because like that's the important piece of when you're talking about this business that's doing well and doing great in the community.
Right. We never actually talked about what the business was. Yeah.
But like even like let's talk about that name. Like what made you come up with that name? Because that's not your last name.
Oh, that's my middle name though.
Okay.
So going all the way back to the beginning, like my frat brother, right? So we sitting in a barbershop. He like, man, I can see it for you. Hollis, like, you should just go ahead. Come, like, I'm gonna start my own accounting firm. Blah, 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 blah. But I just don't know what the name is. And he's like, because they always make fun of me, and he's like, name it Crane Financial. I was like, that makes perfect sense. No, like, crane lifting.
No, I know that. But like, was it like, why?
Why you make fun of it?
No. Why'd your parents pick Crane?
That's my father's middle name. I don't know. Okay. You know what I'm saying? I'm a junior. And my son got the same name too. I really don't know.
Shout out to the thirds.
Yep, facts. But I don't know why that's his middle name or mine. It's just a name. You know what I'm saying?
You gotta go do some research on that, bro.
I don't know if I want to.
Because I feel like it could be like it could buy a crane from like
a headless horseman.
Yeah.
That's kind of dark though. I don't know if I want to put that on me. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, it just is a name. So from that standpoint, but it makes sense from a standpoint whether you're talking about the bird and flying or you talk about like lifting people up. Right. So So that was a part of it all and it made sense and we stuck to it. So really going back there, he gave me that name. My frat brother did. Mm-hmm. And I was like, all right. And I just started running ever since. Like that was like, once you get the name or something, it really is like, okay, I'm going to do this. And it just gave me a whole concept that I've been able to kind of focus off of since then.
Okay. All right. So you dealing with people and their taxes and dealing with the ups and downs of the pandemic and all those programs, right?
Yeah.
Right. Now we out of that.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And we've been talking about this and you talking about scaling your business, hiring on new people, and other people opportunities, right? Because the business is evolving and becoming more mature.
Yeah.
Right. So how did you get to where you are right now?
Okay. So the unique opportunity in that first 8 months of me being an entrepreneur when I was doing nothing came to me where a friend of mine from college worked at a pretty decent sized nonprofit and they needed an accountant. So from that standpoint, we worked something out and we provided an outsourced accounting function to that friend's nonprofit. We've been working with them for almost 10 years now. From that first meeting we had with their overall board, so these are other nonprofits that are involved, right. And we present the financials. Somebody walked up to me and that means said, man, I really like how you do business. Can you help my nonprofit? We start working with them. So now I have 2 relationships that are bringing in like almost a salary for me individually. And I always understood from working in public accounting that these are the type of relationships that you could scale your business with. I just didn't understand how to build them and how to package it and how to service it, right? Okay. So that everything works together. Going back to school, not school, but going back to work, which was school, allowed me to understand, okay, what are the deliverables? How to foster and manage these relationships, and what is important to these small businesses to be able to offer to be able to package it and now sell it, right? I read a book called Built to Sell, where now, because all this pandemic money is flowing around, everybody want to do their taxes and everybody want to work with somebody they know is legit. I don't want to work with everybody because everybody ain't legit. You know what I'm saying? There was a lot of, you got to fight through the minutia, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm getting burnt out because now, even though my business is 2, 3, 4 times bigger, that's still really just me and 1 or 2 other people, and we just working to the bone. And when you talk about
their life is affected,
it's terrible. And you talk about people's personal money, like, you know, they badgering you nonstop. It's
where my check at, bro?
Yeah, and it's like, bro, I don't control this. You know what I'm saying? I put the paperwork in, I explain to them, and it's like, I cannot continue to do this. Like, this is not a sustainable way to live my life. Right. So the thought of possibly selling that side of the business first came at the top of 2021. Okay. So I read this book called Built to Sell, and the concept was you have to take your service-based business and make it all the services, different products. Okay. Meaning that you get this in this service, we don't deviate from this. Okay. If we do deviate from it, it changes the price, but honestly, it might just be no. You know what I'm saying? So I started approaching my business like that. I started looking at my pricing and saying, look, based on the amount of time that we spend on everything and what I pay people for that time, what I pay myself for that time, I got to price it like this. I'm not going to advertise that side of the business no more because I understand that I cannot scale my business just doing taxes. The level of financial services that is low. But also, I had a unique opportunity because I worked with all these other small businesses to help them get access to finances through COVID, is to say, your books need to be in a certain place. They were not. So now we can provide that outsourced accounting. Also, for you to get access to money in general, because now people starting to look at, well, how could I get a small business loan? I'm having conversations with banks and bankers, and they're telling me that our people typically don't have the right tax structure and don't have their taxes together in general in terms of to present to the bank to be able to get a loan. So I'm looking at the services we offer, and I'm like, I could be a lot more effective if we're offering tax planning and if we're doing the outsourced accounting function at certain levels. And you just got to go through the motions of, number 1, figuring out who your target is. Number 2, figuring out what's the right price point for those people. Number 3, figuring out how to serve them and what's the right cadence, right? So we went through that with people we already worked with, right? I didn't go out trying to find any new business. The people we already currently had relationships with, some of them that were larger business, we said, look, this is what you pay us to do your tax return. It honestly would be a lot better. We could probably save you a lot more money, and we can have a lot more of a strategic relationship if we stopped doing this at this price and did it at this monthly price. And the monthly price is fairly low, right?
Now you're retained.
Putting them on retainer, right? So, and we'll give you this, this, and this. And it was 4 or 5 companies we did that with. And at that point, this is strictly just proof of concept, right? I'm not concerned about how much money we're making. I'm concerned about finding results. Well, making a promise to these people, going through a process with them throughout the year, delivering on what we offer, and getting tangible results. So that was all of 2021, which is 5 companies. 2022, I said, okay, now what I'll do, as we go through the tax season, I'm going to speak to people who I can qualify and say they probably also could benefit from this service and see if they want to buy it. How can we sell it? What does our sales process look like? How can we build that out? What do we give people in terms of one-pagers or consultations that is based on that sale? How do we qualify clients? And that was all of 2022. And we went and we kind of doubled up that number of companies we was working with. And we also was able to successfully raise the price. So now it's like, okay, I'm making money here that rivals our tax business, dollar to dollar. And I'm like, okay, but we still are in a proof of concept phase because these are all people I have relationships with. Mm-hmm. What if somebody came through the door cold? So I started investing money in bringing in cold leads. Cold outreach to bring in leads, right? Okay. And we did this to a point where it was very low risk because it's on a platform, LinkedIn, where we're just using LinkedIn Sales Navigator. It's not like, I don't traditionally use LinkedIn. So it's not like I'm taking an organic message and reaching out to people. This is a company I paid to do LinkedIn Sales Navigator for me, and they did it, and it brung back a couple of larger retainers. So, but these people who don't know me, don't know anything about me, I presented our sales cycle to them. They liked it, and we still work together, right? This is 2 years later, we still work together. So now, going into 23 or 24 now, whatever it is, this now is bigger than the tax business. And we have more data to say we've helped X amount of businesses obtain this kind of level of service. I posted something on my Instagram and I can tell you all of our statistics. But now, because I'm looking at my business where I'm looking at it, I can also tell you everything we do, what the average transaction price is, what it costs us to do this, and how profitable we are in doing that. So I can now sit and say, I don't want to do this no more. I can do this a little bit more. And there's probably some room to grow here. But I also, this is where we should be doing what we need to focus on so we can start figuring out what a niche is. But then in those other two mindsets, you can look at it and say, well, also, what is the right person for these different services? So now when we have people coming through our funnel, which we really are going to open up our traditional like sales funnel tomorrow. Okay. But we still have organic referrals and people come through. Yeah. I want to work with you, stuff like that. And when people come through that funnel, we qualify them based on certain categories or based on certain questions and how to answer them. We place them in certain categories and we only try to sell them the service that meets that qualification. You know what I'm saying? And in some cases, we'll turn people around and say, hey, maybe this is not the time to do this, but we can offer you something that's free that you can walk away with and be able to and tell you, look, this is the things you need to be doing to get to the point that you're looking to get to where it makes sense for us to step in. Yeah. And a lot of times those relationships really do end up turning into business because we're not trying to say you're not good enough or we don't want to deal with you. We're just saying, what I want to say is, look,
what we gonna charge you, the amount of energy we're gonna put in.
It doesn't make sense, but still not even putting it like that because that's almost demeaning. Right. I want to add value to your business. Okay. I don't want to take away. And if where you at right now, I'm only going to be able to be expense to you and not an asset, right? Yeah. I want to be able to add value to your company. So in order for me to do that, we got to help you get to this point. Now, I'm not here to help raise revenue for people. I do that for a lot of my clients, but that's not my specialty. I went to school to be an accountant. So I give them something they can walk away with that's tangible and help them kind of grow. And I can also make introductions to other clients we have that have been successful in those spaces. And then boom, a lot of times 6 months later, a year later, people come back and they say, I'm ready. And it's like, cool, but we already have an investment in that relationship because we didn't turn them away and we wasn't nasty and mean and just didn't pay them any attention. We just allowed them to understand just from a business standpoint, we have to be able to help you. And we cannot truly help you for what it's going to cost us to do that. Where you at right now? Yeah,
let's talk about a few things you pointed out there. So you had these existing relationships. And I think a lot of times businesses, because I work at LinkedIn, selling Sales Navigator, and I talk to a lot of my customers, and they're so hyper focused on acquiring new business. Right? Yeah, and some of these are enterprise customers, but when you're talking like what they're selling, they're small businesses. Yeah, right, and they haven't perfected their service delivery, or their product. Yep, to even worry about acquiring new customers. Yeah. Right? When they could easily just say, hey, I'm going to expand into my existing customers that have a relationship. Oh, yeah. That have this built-in relationship that they're willing to let me sell them something new. Yep. Right? And prove it out to them. Right?
Prove it, yeah.
Because I think a lot of times that's where a lot of small businesses mess up is like you try to provide this new service at scale to all of your customers. Yep. But you haven't even fleshed out what that looks like for your customer or for you.
Nope.
Right?
On the large level, they don't do that. Everybody don't get access to the new iPhone at the same time. It's certain people. Right. Like right now, the Apple Pro thing, they only giving that to people they know that's going to be able to push that product and critique them in the right way, tell you how it works, how it doesn't work. Everybody don't have access to that right now because it's not ready.
It's not. Even at my company, we will put something out as beta.
Beta tested.
Tested. We'll beta test it internally. Yep. Then we'll beta test it with specific customers.
Facts.
Right? That are large enough to we can see, okay, well, this will benefit them. Yep. Right? And then we push it out. Right?
Facts.
And sometimes that process is longer. Sometimes that process is really quick.
Yeah.
Depending on how many bugs you got to work out, right?
This has been a 3-year journey for me to where now, and I've invested hundreds of thousands of dollars into this in terms of man hours, in terms of software, in terms of marketing. And I still haven't outwardly said, this is what we do, this is what we charge for it, to a mass group of people, because it had to be ready. I had to have a team ready to service the new business that was going to come.
Right.
I can no longer do it. Like, I technically cannot do and manage. If 500 people came to us and said, all right, we want to work with you on a retainer basis, I can't manage that. How could I?
And then that was the other piece of it, like retainer business.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times people will be like, why would he give up this tax business that is a large amount of income?
Yeah.
And seemingly gives you more time to like have time to yourself, right?
Yeah.
To do retained business. Well, when you have somebody on a retainer, that's consistent income.
Yeah.
Right?
Consistent, nonstop.
Right? Because if I only do your taxes, you can always go find another tax person.
Facts. And the thing
But
is,
if I become a part of your business,
yep,
it's hard to sever that relationship.
it's a different value proposition too.
Right.
And the tax business, the way that most people look at it when they would call me the tax man, I ain't even like being called the tax man. It's like, bro, I'm an accountant. I really do this. You know what I mean?
Right.
But you looking to get the largest refund you could get. If that's what you're looking for, you're going to go get that from anybody. Right. You know what I'm saying? If that's what you focused on. And some people need that money. I understand it. I had started to grow to the point where that was not the level of conversation I was having and the level of thinking I was on. So I wanted to be able to, and I would get frustrated. You know what I'm saying? Like, people calling me about their refund. It's like, bro, I sent you the paperwork. I sent you how to do it. Why don't you go on? Everybody don't know how to read and comprehend. You know what I'm saying? And I don't want to get to the point where I'm starting to become arrogant and rude and disrespectful to people. But at the same time, they're not respecting me, my time, or my people's time. They don't care. They want their money.
Right.
So I had to start realizing, like, this is not the way to scale this business, and it's not for the quality of life I want. And I can have a much larger impact. Like, I might be able to get somebody their biggest tax refund or whatever that dollar amount might be, but I can really tell you I saved somebody $500,000 in taxes. What's more impactful?
The $500,000. What's
more valuable of a relationship?
Right.
I could tell you I helped my client walk into the bank and get $2 million in funding because their books was right. And in doing that, we had to save $1 million in taxes because you got to have a certain amount of profit margin to be able to say, this is what I make.
Yeah.
And that come with paying taxes. And I can tell you that I saved them a lot of money and helped them get money. That's facts.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? What's more valuable? You know what I mean? And now this is me doing this for one or two people. We was doing what we still do, like 400 individual tax returns a year. You know what I'm saying? What if I could have that transaction rate for what we do now on the other business is 10x that.
Right.
So if we had the same amount of clients, what would that revenue look like? Crazy. But now you could really build a real business. You can offer other services, and you can really be a high-level consulting firm, because the stuff we're talking about is very complex tax strategy, and it involves legal ramifications as well. So you start looking at it like, I got a whole different type of thing going on than just H&R Block or Jackson Hewitt. You know what I mean? I got a whole different...
I think a lot of times people look at that, right? Because I don't know if you knew this, but I worked for a CPA out of college.
Oh, work?
So I did taxes. So like a lot of times, until I got to a certain point with my like tax returns, I just did it myself.
Facts.
Right. But then when you start adding mortgages, deductions,
business,
and like tax laws, and I hadn't been doing taxes in a long time.
Facts.
I was like, I'm gonna just pay somebody.
The stakes get too high. But you see, even with our relationship, you never heard me say, "Let me do your taxes."
Right.
Because I'm jaded. I know what comes with that. You know what I mean? Yeah, if you wanted us to do it, then and we gonna definitely do it, and we're gonna do it well. We're gonna give you all the attention and help that you need. But the fact of the matter is, that's, for me, in my viewpoint, you have to have so much money and people to be able to scale that business at an effective rate. It just didn't make sense where I was at right now.
Yeah. So the business, you say you about to launch something tomorrow?
Yeah, our sales funnel opens up tomorrow. Just like regular organic advertising, like social media advertising for the other business, right? The tax planning and the accounting solutions. We haven't advertised that at all. We only ever advertise. We stopped advertising, period. Yeah. Like, if you follow me on social media, you're going to probably see more about the soiree than you're going to see about Crane Financial.
I mean, I think also, once you get to a certain level, what they say, you ain't never seen a Lamborghini commercial, right?
Facts. And I used to argue this with my people that we work with for marketing. Like, at the highest level, they don't advertise, but they was like, you're not at that level yet. And I was like, facts. You know, you got to get there. You know, that's true. But I want to model myself after the best.
How you look at it, right?
Facts, yeah.
You are there in your area, right? Are we talking globally?
Are we talking billions of dollars? No.
No, but like you making good money.
Yeah.
Where like your life is better than most.
I wouldn't say that, you know, because we go to Belize and people don't have 2 nickels to rub together, but they happy and they live on the beach. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like,
well, I'm talking financially, but yes.
Financially, I mean, what Jay-Z say, you don't know my expenses. I had to buy a bigger place. More baggies. You know, I got to run payroll. I got, you know, we got mortgages, car notes. I take care of a lot of people. I got
a new baby.
New baby. He cheap though. You know, how you want his time. Yeah.
Right now, he's on the milk.
Yeah, yep, facts. But nah, I mean, the fact that I'm thankful to be able to do all the stuff I do and take care of all the things I take care of. And I don't look at it, a lot of people look at it like, man, I'm trying to consolidate. I'll take on the responsibility because that means for me, I'm probably going to have a bigger opportunity, or that means I'm in a different position altogether. So I never shied away from the responsibility that came with. I'm willing to pay the cost to be the boss. You know what I mean? I think that's what separates me from a lot of people I know in general. I'm not running away from expenses. I'm running towards them because the more expenses I have, and I'm talking about to build and grow, not talking about just frivolous, I'm buying chains and you know, stuff like that. And I like jewelry too. But the more stuff that I have to be able to afford, that raises my level and my overall nut I got to make every month. And if I can do that and I do it successfully, then that means I'm growing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm going to have more opportunity as time goes on, and I'm going to learn a lot too. Okay. But it's different. It's like, you got to look at it from a standpoint and say, not that I can't afford this, but what do I have to do to afford this? You know what I'm saying? That mindset very early on I had.
Yeah, and I think that's a super important mindset. Like people always like, oh man, this costs this to do it. I've never looked at anything like, oh, it costs to do this. It's like, okay, that's the cost of doing business.
That's the cost of doing business.
It's the cost of doing business well.
Facts.
At a certain level.
At the highest level.
Right.
Yep. So even in entertainment, what we're doing right now is entertainment. At the highest level entertainment, right now, Jeff Bezos paid $2 billion to get the rights to what? WWE Raw? He paid...
No, that was Netflix.
Oh, Netflix, I'm sorry. But he paid billions of dollars to get the right to Thursday Night Football, right?
Yep.
They're probably going to put a billions of dollar bid together to get the NBA rights that's coming up again this summer. So it's like, this is what you have to be prepared to do in order to really build something. You know what I'm saying? It's not, you can't look at it like, right, the conversations I've been having over the last 3-4 months is, all right, we bring people in that I came up with in the public accounting sector, or that I know are high-level accountants. What's your number? What do you need for us to bring you in full-time and work with Crane Financial? They giving me numbers? Okay, I ain't sitting here saying, ooh, man, what I got to do to get this amount of money so I can pay all these people so I don't have to worry about the delivery of service that we offering our people.
And it being top-notch.
The top, I need the best of the best Black accountants I can find right now. I got 3 or 4 really good ones. That's the top of the line. I need to be able to put them on salary. You know what I'm saying? So they don't have to worry about nothing. Their kids ain't got to worry about nothing. They can take care of their families, and I can continue to take care of my customers.
Yeah, and I've said this about businesses. Business, like a lot of times people are like, oh, the recruiter didn't ask me, like they trying to lowball me. I was like, well, the recruiter's job is to get the best talent for the least amount of price, for the cheapest price. But there are certain roles where they do not do that.
I can't afford to do that right now. I don't have a wealth of talent of people where I can say, I need you. And because of the business I'm in, I'm dealing with people's personal information, and we still are so early in our iteration where we cannot afford to be wrong. I need to be able to trust people I'm working with to know they're going to get the job done right.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And they're going to be ethical.
Facts. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not in a position to say like, I can't afford to pay you that. Now, it's some things like if you told me a number that's just astronomical, I'm going to say, well, where are you going to get that? Where else you going to get that? And be able to work from home and be able to have basically autonomy in your role and be able to be flexible, and you ain't got to worry about nobody talking to you crazy. You know what I'm saying? Where else? Now you're being unreasonable.
Yeah.
But the numbers I'm hearing are fair numbers, and it's like, okay, well, what do I need to do to meet that expectation? You know what I'm saying?
Right. And so correct me if I'm wrong, is the goal to scale the business to the point that where you can sell it off? Or like what's the ultimate goal?
Right now, every business goal is to be able to build to a point where you could possibly sell and walk away into the sunset. I would sell the tax preparation business. We had some preliminary conversations last year. And from what I understand, the way that these numbers are calculated, I have a little bit more work to get the number that I would want to walk away from for that. Mm-hmm. But I could sell it right now for a nice piece of money. And it might be, I don't know though. You know, yes. Ultimately, I have still have my tech company that I feel like we can serve people in that same bucket, the tax prep bucket, at a much cheaper price. I don't want to get too far into what that looks like, but that's something I will love to do in my next phase of life. Mm-hmm. The business we do now on a retainer, I'm not sure I would let that go because
that's consistent.
Yeah, it's consistent. It's always opportunity to grow. Because you got to think, if you add in value, like one of my clients, if I helped him go get a couple $1 million in financing and saved him $1 million in taxes, that means his business now got $3 million more of availability and money to spend. He gonna spend some of that with me, you know what I'm saying? And he gonna also grow his company, which means he gonna need more from me, which means we can grow our relationship. You know what I'm saying? So it's like in situations like that, I could see the sky is the limit there. But ultimately, you know, if one of the big dogs wanted to buy it, yeah, we'll sell it, you know what I'm saying, for the right price. But that's a 10-year from now conversation. I'm focused on really growing that practice and being like an elite, top-notch Black-owned accounting firm in the United States. That's my number one goal over the next 10 years. Okay. Number 2 would be to have that technology platform launched, functionable, usable. Because I feel like that's what would get me to $1 billion. You know what I'm saying? I could make millions of dollars doing this. Nice. But I think the guy's name is Myron Golden. He's a YouTuber. Okay. Black dude, older Black dude. He said, you know, it's 3 levels of 3 different ways to make money, and they all have caps. The first way is execution. So doing taxes, right? Mm-hmm. That execution has a cap of, I think, $1 million, right? Because it's only so much time you can spend. Right. 2 is like management, and management has a cap of $100 million. Because
so that's like consulting.
Yeah, well, what we're doing right now, right? And I mean, there's other companies, like the largest accounting firms, they do billions of dollars in revenue, but they do management not in just one sector. Every sector you can imagine.
And globally.
Yep. Every angle, you know what I'm saying? Every vertical, every single way that you can do it. So that's
like Big 4, right?
Yeah. And that's my background. Yeah. And then the highest level is your imagination. So if you have a unique idea or something that could be applied to a global scale, then you can make, you know, trillions of dollars potentially. You know what I'm saying? Because now that's something that you can put in every household for, I mean, the closest to free, possibly.
Think about Amazon.
Yeah, facts.
So Amazon was a delivery company. Mm-hmm. Then it became a app.
Yep.
To allow you to order things and be delivered.
Yep.
And now it's a streaming service.
Yep. A media company.
A Whole Foods, something dealing with Whole Foods, like, and touching so many different things.
Amazon is going to be the biggest company in the world in probably 10 years. Like, if they're not already now. But I mean, like, they will dominate.
Man just flew a rocket ship to the moon or something.
Yeah. They're going to dominate every lane. Only thing they probably couldn't touch is the iPhone. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if they can beat Apple in, like, delivering product at that level.
Yeah.
I also don't know if Apple wants to compete with them on trying to do everything else.
Nah. But I think also, like, you mentioned, and not to get too much into Amazon, but like you talked about like them potentially going after the NBA TV rights, right? That's probably just a play to get
more viewers and more users.
Not even more viewers, maybe not even more viewers on Amazon, but a partnership, because you know everybody moving away from like cable. Yeah. So like something with YouTube or with Google, right? Because they don't really work together like that.
They don't. Yeah.
Right. So like becoming this conglomerate with Google, which would dominate something.
Yeah, and that's true, because if you get the NBA or if you get
because NFL, right now that's on YouTube TV.
Yeah. And even if you watch the NFL on Amazon, they don't have advertisement there because people don't want to pay Amazon that money. You know what I'm saying? Whereas in the NFL, they hold businesses, TV rights, ad dollars. You know what I'm saying? Like, so we need to have that cross collaboration. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, because that's the only way you're gonna get people on Amazon Prime, honestly.
To watch it.
Yeah,
it's not a bad platform.
It's not a bad platform, but the content that they have, like I studied this in my like
NBA program. Okay.
Like why Netflix, like Amazon, Disney Plus, and all these are not making money.
No.
Netflix is.
Netflix is.
Because they have these proprietary thing, and they're starting to charge people for having different logins. Right?
As they should.
But the difference is content.
Yeah. Right? They got their own content.
Right. And that's why Netflix is getting ahead of what the WWE thing is. Like, we're not going to try to get in the sports thing.
Nope.
Because Amazon already doing that. Peacock doing it.
Yep.
Right. We're going to take a TV show that we know gets millions.
2.2 million views a week.
Yep. Right. Because now that's going to drive more people to our other content.
Yep.
Because they're already on Netflix.
And WWE has a whole network. Mm-hmm. And with Vince McMahon going out the door,
well, it's tight now.
Wouldn't be surprised if they just buy the whole company. You know what I'm saying?
Well, no, because WWE is owned by Titan now.
What's Titan?
Titan is TKO, so that's UFC and WWE.
Oh, snap. Are you serious?
Yeah, they're owned by the
Damn, I need to.
Because Brock just became a board member.
Yeah, I saw The Rock became a board member. Damn, I didn't know that. That's crazy.
Yeah, so like,
so
I could eventually
see Dana
see.
White, or they bought Dana White out too?
Well, Dana's still like chairman of UFC.
Oh, wow.
So like, eventually I could see, you know how UFC is on ESPN and stuff.
It's going to be on Netflix.
I could see that could potentially move to like Netflix or something like that, right?
Yeah.
But to that point is like, where do you build your business to a certain point?
Yeah.
Where it can be acquired or become, you still acquire, because like LinkedIn is, like a lot of people don't know this, LinkedIn is owned by Microsoft.
Yeah.
Right? So we still operate as our own entity.
Yep.
Right? We are just on the Microsoft fiscal year.
Yeah.
And we are a business line that reports at the end of their fiscal year, right?
Yeah.
And so like, but we still operate individually.
Yeah.
Right. So getting to your business to a point that like, yeah, I might be owned by this large parent umbrella, but I'm still me.
Yeah.
I still have my own policies, my own culture, how I do things, right? And I think that is what people don't understand is like, you don't have to sell so quickly that you lose your business, because then people are going to change things about your business.
Yeah,
that is what has made you successful.
Facts.
Right?
Yeah.
And there are going to be little things that you pick up from the larger company, but like you have to be patient. Like, nah, I don't want to get bought right now.
Yeah. And so even in the conversations I was having about my little business about selling, it was like, you know, the upside on what we do, because I'm in my early 30s, people trust accountants that have gray hair. You know what I'm saying? Also, my age group now is just starting to make money, but imagine if I was 20 years down the line and everybody already was getting money. You know what I mean? So what is the value of our services to those people then? Our largest demographic is just now getting into the 6-figure category. You know what I'm saying? Or consistently making 6 figures, meaning that they're starting to be able to put some money away. So being able to add on services connected to financial planning, retirement planning, all these different things, we can really grow out our revenue base pretty fast, you know, and strategically.
And help them grow their income exponentially quicker.
Yep. So when I was talking about selling, what I kept getting back from bankers and, you know, people like that, and I got relationships with other accounting firms that buy and sell accounting firms or people that sold. And they would be saying, like, you know, we usually do 1x of sales or 3x of net income. And from my viewpoint, it's like, you really probably got to give me somewhere between 5 and 10x, because I also have technology platforms built I have not presented to people. I also have the upside of, if I could white label my services and be able to still have the funnel being me and you executing it, but that's going to continue to grow as I continue to grow. You know what I'm saying? But I'd rather just grow it. And then now I got to command a whole different kind of conversation if I want to sell it or if I want to white label it. Right. I've had a conversation this week, a pretty interesting conversation with a larger company saying, look, we want you to do what you do. We just want to white label out the service part of it for anything you can't handle. If it's too big, you know what I mean? If it needs too much manpower. I mean, it's different ways to go about doing business. In my viewpoint, all these different opportunities are being brought to me because I continue to do the work. You know what I'm saying?
And do good work.
That's what's important.
Right.
That takes a lot of investment. Like, people think, people don't understand, like, all the investment that comes into the business. I had a conversation last night. Somebody said, you got a financial plan? I was like, wow, my only financial plan is to keep investing money in this business to hope that it brings about the right return, because that's gonna be the bigger return that any stock market plan can make.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So It's a journey, bro. I love it though. You know what I'm saying? Like I love it. Even looking at the Amazons, the Netflixes, all these larger multi-billion-dollar corporations and sometimes trillion-dollar corporations, you want to model your business after what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? So not that you have to be doing the same things or offering the same things, but you right now, like I said, this is entertainment. Mm-hmm. This is a piece of game I give anybody that's in this space from a tax perspective and an accounting perspective. I did the research and I said, how does Amazon capitalize or value their content creation and the content overall, right? What is the way that they're presenting this on their financial statements to their benefit? Because those are assets, right? So the way that you should approach this, your podcast, and the overall intellectual property that you are putting together to present this should be the same as any large media company does, meaning that every dollar you spend involving your intellectual property, you need to be able to capitalize it and put it on your balance sheet so that it can last you over a 15-year period and not just on this tax return. You know what I'm saying? And that comes down to a lot of different factors and a lot of different things. But if you want to schedule a consultation with Crane Financial.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, that is a good point, though. Like, I think people don't understand their intellectual property, but also their energy that they're putting into something.
Facts.
Is a value. Like, there's a dollar value to that, right?
Yep. And there's a very clear way to calculate that dollar value too.
Right. So yeah, we're gonna talk. All right. So like you gave that free game, right? If you could go talk to, I don't know, let's say 14, 15-year-old Hollis.
Yeah.
What would be the piece of advice you would give him?
14, 15-year-old Hollis. I would say, you're not wrong to believe that you got something in you. Keep believing that no matter what nobody says. Be more confident. Maybe talk a little bit less. You know what I mean? But be more confident in that. Because I would say 14 all the way to 17, I wasn't as confident in myself. I believed quietly. And, academically, I knew I was at the level. But I was not as confident in outwardly expressing that to people. I would also defer in a lot of situations to others. I would say be more confident, maybe talk a little bit less, but, show improve. And then also, don't quit. I never quit, you know what I mean? But just telling yourself, like, if I looked at the life I have now at 14 to 15, I would like to have, like, more money, but that don't mean nothing. The girl who I had the biggest crush on, we just had our first child and we're going to be getting married soon. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, dang, I didn't know that.
Yeah, bro. She didn't even know who I was then. She was older than me. So I don't want to say her name, but Kelly, forget it. Kelly, Kelly, she's older than me, so we didn't go to high school together. She already had graduated when I came to high school, but I had a huge crush on her when she was in high school. She played basketball. So, I would be happy. You know what I mean? Like, I did the things I thought I was supposed to do. It's just a matter of not getting distracted. 17, 18, 19, 20. I feel like I could have did better. I didn't really focus like that in college. I was just like,
I think that comes with, that's where people that are confident teach that line of cockiness.
Yep. I was cocky. I was cocky at that point.
And like, cause like me, like people like, bro, you made an A in this class.
Why don't you make an A in every class?
I'm like, because I don't care about that.
Yeah.
Like, that class ain't got nothing to do with what I want to do.
Also, them A's don't really mean much.
Right.
They do mean something.
Right.
But because I was so social when I was in college, I also had a lot of relationships. So when I started a business, I was able to build it. You know what I mean? Because people knew who I was. They knew my level of integrity. They had some comfort of dealing with me because they got to know who Hollis was. You know what I'm saying? Now, some others, they may have shied away from that because of my reputation at that point in time, but it's all a matter of knowing the whole person, right? Because if you knew me, you would know that I'm extremely intelligent. I'm a hard worker. I just had a personality. I wasn't afraid to show it. You know what I mean? And traditionally in this field, people want you to be like, buttoned up. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think that's also like, you talked about like what people put into you when you was younger, right? And that's why I said I see a lot of me and you, because we have this age gap, right?
Yeah.
I'm 37, you just
31.
turned 31, right?
Yep.
But it's like when you have people pouring into you and telling you that you are great growing up, right? Like I even tell people like words of affirmation don't really mean nothing to me at this point because I've been affirmed so much growing up that is like, thanks, I already know that. Like I feel uncomfortable now because like, are you trying to say something else?
Right.
Like
also discipline at that age too. Like my pops was real big on like you not working hard enough. I remember one time I was like, I work harder than everybody I go to school with. He's like, you go to a shitty school. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It was like you not working hard enough. Right. I was like, dang, like, you know, it's still that mentality too. Like you gotta continue to go get it. It don't really matter. Watch The Wire, you know what I'm saying? Like, it don't really matter what you did yesterday. You got to be that right now. You know what I'm saying?
Every day.
Yep.
Right? Like, and my dad used to be like, hey, you not trying to go to the NFL.
You not.
And I ain't coming to watch you sit on the bench. Yeah. So, like, and your grade struggling? Like, nah, bro. Like, but it's like the prioritizing piece of it. Because I was cocky. Like, bro, I know if I go to class and I stay awake.
Yeah.
Because I was falling asleep.
Me too. I fell asleep a lot in class.
I'm like, when I tell people this, I was like, I've never studied.
Yeah, me neither. Not really.
Like studied, like sat down, took hours to do something. Yep. Like to learn material. I was like, bro, if I go to class and I listen, I pick up concepts really quickly. But I don't want to go to class. I was like, I did not believe in the Western form of education.
Yeah. Well, you probably didn't learn that way. I didn't learn by lectures and assignments. I learned kinesthetically. I have to do it. So if we were going over the assignment or we were like doing a study guide for the test in class, I was going to be really locked in and focused because I have to go through that process to be able to like retain information. You know what I mean? I'm a kinesthetic learner. We don't, like in America, we don't necessarily feed to each person's learning styles. It's auditory, visual, and kinesthetic. We usually just do auditory and sometimes visual. You know?
Yeah. I'm good at doing things, but I have photographic memory.
Yeah.
So
I
like
got great memory.
So like I'm like, oh, that's the concept. Got it.
Yep.
Cool. Let's do it. But it required you to go to class.
Yep.
Or to be awake in class.
Yeah, I'm not good at sitting in there and somebody talking to me for an hour.
And I'm like, bro, what is you talking about? I gotta take notes.
Yeah, this is not for me.
But I that's why it's important as like we don't talk about being parents is important as parents of young black men. Yeah. To make sure that like, hey, if you're struggling in class, I'm not on your ass because I'm just being on your ass. I need to understand, like, what are you doing in class?
Right.
How are they teaching you in class? Okay, let's figure out how you learn, right? Like, I think, we're in a position where we could get our kids tutors if they need tutors. Yeah. But, like, it's really important at what is it, like, from 3, like, when they're adolescents to, like, pour into your kids educationally because, like, really, my dad barely graduated high school. My mom got her GED after I graduated college. Okay. So if I tell you that profile and then tell you what I did, you'd be like, huh?
How'd you do that?
Right.
Yeah. You're an anomaly.
Right. But what it was my parents put me in reading labs and math labs. Yeah. At the age of 3. Okay. And so like by the time I got to first grade.
You already got it.
Right. I was testing into middle school, high school as an elementary school kid because bro, I've been doing this.
You know, most people read at a 5th grade level. I just recently found this out.
Yeah, it was just because people aren't exposed to words.
That's crazy.
I used to do crossword puzzles and read comics. But it's also how we were raised as children.
Yeah,
like,
facts.
I grew up reading comics.
Yep. Same.
I grew up reading
I made my own comics when I was a kid.
Like I drew a lot. Yep. Right. But I feel like there's so many things that we give our kids. Like my kid has a little tablet, right? But I'm only letting him watch educational things. We're not just watching silly stuff. Right. And he won. Right? So he's not even really getting it. But like when he gets to a certain point, it's like, hey,
we gotta start doing.
We're doing math. Yeah. Because
that's what I'm trying to figure out.
I want my kid to be able to say, like, okay, like whatever I want to do whatever I want to do, I can do it.
I'm trying to figure it out now because he watched Elmo. And I like Elmo, but it needs to become more educational. And also, I want to be very intentional about kind of how I go about teaching my son things. My parents and my grandparents did a really good job. They made us do Black History on Monday, Bible study on Sunday. My mom was a teacher, so it was always like very educational focused in my household. I'm I want to also make sure that I do a better job at explaining things to my kids so they can do critical thinking more.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to just be like, I'm your parent and I said so. I definitely want to be like, look, you have to understand this, and this. And you don't understand these things, do you? So you cannot make the decision. You know what I'm saying? Until you're able to make those critical thinking steps, I think that will close the gap in mistakes made. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I mean, I got all these theories. I don't know until it actually starts happening.
I mean, but it's ain't no wrong with trying it out, right?
Yeah,
I think there is no one right way
to raise a child. Yeah,
right?
Facts.
The only thing I do believe in is like not abusing your children.
Yeah,
right.
Facts.
Emotionally or physically. Now I do believe in, you know, if you got to pop a key, you got to pop a key.
Yeah,
but, like,
ain't nothing wrong with that.
On them.
Yeah,
but like even with my son, like people, and I talk about this on my podcast all the time. I'm talking about parenting. Like people are like, you're very hard on your son.
You gotta be.
But I'm like, I'm a man.
Yeah,
he a man.
Like, it's for his mama to be nice. And
yeah, like he has plenty of people being nice to him, right? But at the same time, I know my son. I can see his aptitude, right?
Yeah.
If I say, "Hey, go get your shoes," he know to go pick up his shoes, bring them, he sit down, he's like, right?
Yep.
If I say, "Stop doing that, put that down," he's 1 year old.
Yeah.
Like, why does he know where to go get your shoes is?
But he can't put that down. Yeah, he could do it. Yeah, facts. Yeah, like, facts. Yeah.
Like the other day, I had him. And he looked tired. Right? Yeah. He has a tail when he tired. He started doing all this.
Yeah. They
yawning. But when he really tired, bro will stop playing, doing whatever he doing, and lay out in the middle of the floor. So I said, all right, let's go to bed.
Yep.
He walked himself. I didn't have to pick him up or grab his hand. Bro walked to the room and said, hey, bro, put me in the bed.
Facts.
Right?
Facts.
But so that's why when he act out, I'm like, I'm not here for it. Yeah. Because I just seen you do what you supposed to do.
You know how to do what's right.
Right.
Yeah.
So like when he was acting out the other day because he wasn't ready to go to bed. I'm like, but it's bedtime.
Right.
Like
you can play again.
Don't care.
Yeah. like you just know this is gonna be bedtime every day.
Right. Like,
you know what I'm saying?
Like, why? I was like, because he knows.
Facts.
Like when I talk to him, I'd be like, hey, I don't want to hear no more noise. Just go to sleep.
Yep. Facts.
I'm gonna turn the light off.
That's the real dad.
Go to sleep.
Yeah, that's real dad
and
shit.
He go to sleep. Like,
yep.
But I think a lot of people are like, oh, he's not old enough, right?
No, he old enough.
Right. And like the daycare lady tell me like, oh yeah, he can repeat things. We counting to 10. I'm like, okay, cool. So that means when I give him a math book at 3,
yeah, he gonna know how to handle it.
He gonna be okay.
And we gonna go through it together.
We're gonna go through it together. We're gonna walk through it. But like, I'm not going to handicap my son because I think he's a baby.
Yeah, no, you cannot do that. One of the things, me and my dad, we clash all the time. Me and my dad got a great relationship, but we clash all the time. Yeah. And like we just recently got into it, not because like, I hate you, you're a terrible father. In the argument, like you are a great father, but you do not have to say things the way in which you're saying. I don't need to be talked to this way. I'm not a child anymore. But stuff like that, I still am very thankful for the way that he did do certain stuff because it made me a man, like an actual man. I'm a man. I go about my business like a man. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And I'm thankful for that. I can realize that now as opposed to some people that you know, and it's like, bro, this is how you thought you were supposed to handle this? Like, as a man, you was going to, whether it be situations with women, situations by themselves, right? You thought you were supposed to handle this situation like this as a man. This was acceptable behavior. My father wouldn't allow those type of things from me. You know what I'm saying? So I'm thankful.
Really standing on business.
Yeah, facts. I'm thankful for that. And because of that, I know I have an obligation to take that and improve on that design, right? You cannot just give children what they want. I remember my dad one time, I was like, can I get this? And he's like, no. I was like, I know you got the money. He pulled the money. I said, this is my money. You know what I'm saying? Not sure. You don't need that. He's like, you don't need none of that stuff. So you could let it go. He's like, no Bill's character. So no. And laughed and put the money back in his pocket.
But I think a lot of times people don't understand that. That word no.
Yeah.
Like no is very powerful.
It is.
Because it sets a boundary.
Yep.
Right? Like, hey, and I tell people all the time, like, I'm gonna have money.
Yeah.
Ymir can't ask me for no money.
Yeah.
Like
facts. Unless it's for something that you need.
If you need it, cool, you got it. But like, just because I got money, you ain't got nothing.
No,
bro.
you gotta work.
Nothing. I'm gonna put stuff to the side for you, of course.
You gotta work.
But you still gotta work for it. And if you don't work for it, then you won't get it.
Facts.
Like,
You're not gonna have access to it.
Like, didn't nobody give me nothing?
Nope. Gotta work.
Right. You got to get it out. Like, at the end of the day, like, I think a lot of parents that become upwardly mobile lose that.
Yeah,
like,
no, you can't just give your kids things.
Give your kids things you didn't have. But at a certain point, they got to earn it too. Facts. Right? Because when they get on the street road, like out here in these streets, ain't nobody gonna give them nothing.
They're gonna be asked out. And I wouldn't even say you gotta get I was not a child that didn't have the things I needed. You know what I'm saying? So I can't even say, oh, I didn't have this. That was not my experience. I had everything I needed. We always had food, we always had light, water, heat, cable. The stuff that I didn't even need, I had. You know what I'm saying? So for me, it's not so much about giving him things as much giving him time and attention and understanding, right? Peace of mind. Right, those and structure, those things matter, bro.
I tell people all the time, the biggest thing I wanted from my parents growing up was time.
Facts.
Like,
facts.
I was like, the accolade, like the praising me, the gifts, because I'm not even a gift person, so I don't even care. What pissed me off when I was a kid was like if I had a sporting event or a school event and y'all weren't there.
Yeah, that's tough.
Like, because you had to work.
Yeah.
And that's why I was like, I'll never put myself in a position where I can't be there.
Facts. Bro, even with me, like, I'm going to work 24/7, but when my girl and my son walk in the door from her picking them up and she coming home from work, I'm done working. Yeah. I'm not working until they go back to sleep. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to be present. I'm going to be right here dealing with my family because it's not worth not having that time.
Right.
That time.
Because you don't get that time back.
You do not. It's so important.
Right. Yeah. It's great seeing you becoming a father. Bro.
Thank you.
Right. What is it? We about 5? You almost
5 months tomorrow. Yeah. Yep.
And that's crazy because you launch your thing tomorrow.
Yeah. Too. Facts. Yep.
But like, you know, as I said, I'm here to support you because it's different when your homie's still outside and you not a dad, right?
Yeah. It is different.
Because, like, all right, y'all want to pull up to the crib because I got the kid and I can't really do nothing.
That's why I said you come up watch football.
Right.
I can do that.
Right. Because people don't like even the standing on the business piece, right?
Yeah.
Like about being a man. Like when people be like, oh, it's so great that you like moved here for your child. I was like,
that's the only option.
I was like, what other option did I have?
That's the only option.
I made this person. I gotta be there for them.
Yeah, facts.
Right.
That's the only option.
And like, but to your point, like having that father, I gotta make sure that the things that my dad gave me, my right, wrong, or indifferent.
Facts.
Right. Because me and my dad, we clashed too.
Yeah.
Like we had that conversation when I was at the house.
It's just a part of what happens.
Dad, like, because me and him are very much alike, right? I'm like, I don't like how you talk to me. And if you talk to me crazy, it's going to escalate. Yeah. Like, and we don't need that.
I wonder how I'm going to deal with that. How you going to deal with that when your son buck up with you?
Oh, we going to square up.
Man.
I'm like, but this is the thing. I know not to talk to my son. I'm not going to talk to my son in a way that I feel that he's going to feel like he need to buck up at me. Because it's understanding language and understanding how to frame things to people. Like, I could tell you, hey, no, this is my house. And you gonna do what I say?
Is that even necessary?
No. What I'm saying, is, like people like this is my house. You gonna do what I say?
Yeah, facts.
Or be like, son, you haven't earned the right.
Yeah, that's totally different.
To tell me what to do in my house because you don't pay no bills here.
You don't.
Facts. And I love you.
Yeah.
But if you get to the point where you can't live by my rules,
you're gonna have to go.
You have to leave.
Yeah, facts.
There is a very different way of saying things, right?
Facts.
And as I get older, I will be able to frame things even better.
Yeah,
right?
Facts.
Right? But it's like, you don't got to talk down to your child, right? Right? Like, because your child didn't ask to be here. Nope. Right? And so I think, you know, my son, I'm already seeing his little personality. He gonna be moody like me. He like, nah. I don't really like how you said that. Right. Like, so until you say it differently, like, Thanks. But he also wants to be loved on. So like, I know if I love on him, because that's like, for me, you could talk to me crazy, but you still got love on me. Facts. Right. But to my point that I was making about my dad is like, my dad got up and worked every day. Yep. Same. Right. And worked multiple jobs. Right. He provided for his family. Facts. He was there for me, even if I didn't want him to be there for me with my parents. Definitely. Divorce, right? We lose that in our community because the dudes they dad ain't there to tell them like, hey, bro, as a man, there's just certain things that are unacceptable. Yep. Right? Because like we have the whole sassiness thing. I ain't even talking about the being sassy. That's crazy. Because, I mean, how you expect a man not to be sassy? He raised by his mama.
Yeah.
But
Facts.
there are certain things as a man, hitting on women, not take care of your responsibilities.
Yeah.
Not being present for your kids.
Facts.
Not being disciplined.
Mm-hmm.
Because discipline is like a man's trait.
You gotta be disciplined, yeah.
Yeah, like I can't do that because I have other responsibilities.
Mm-hmm.
Being able to say no.
Yeah.
Right?
Or just having self-control.
Right.
You
like,
could do it. You could do it and still have your responsibilities,
Right.
but this is not the right thing to do.
It's not. I should not stay out till 3 o'clock in the morning, knowing that I got to get up.
It's not gonna lead. It's not gonna lead to the situation that I'm gonna be in my best position to be myself. I can't do this. Yep.
Right, and that is the important piece of like a black man, or just men in general, being there for their children,
Facts.
Especially their sons,
Mm-hmm.
because you become the litmus test. You become the standard of what he wants to be. Because I pray every day that my son is a better man than me.
Facts, yeah.
Because if he a better man than me, then he a really good.
Solid, gonna be good.
Right.
Hey, I hope. Marty said the other day, she was like, "That's the real big hollow." And Kelly said all the time, "I hope so. I want to be bigger, faster, stronger, smarter, everything better." That's my son. Yeah,
and that's what my dad told me. He was like, "All I wanted was for you to be better than me."
Yeah, that's it.
Like if you better than me, then.
Yep. My dad tell me, he was like, "Man, you're doing a great job." So I was like, "I got the blueprint from you." You know what I'm saying? That's the conversation we had pretty much every day. And I'm thankful that we all in the same space, basically. My parents moved down the street from me. I'm so thankful of that because that's the village I had. My grandmother was our next door neighbor. At one point, my father's mother lived with us because she was sick. You know what I'm saying? And like that stuff played an important role in just getting a consistent message and having a consistent like day-to-day routine. My kid, man, I'm excited to see who he becomes as a young man. Right. I'm also excited to see how I develop with him. And like you said, being able to present those things differently and saying, look, son, the reason you have to cut the grass is because you have to learn how to be disciplined.
And to do things that you don't want to do.
Yep. And do it well. Right. And that is it. Point blank, period. It's not about fun. It's not about fun.
This is not a punishment.
Yeah, no. It's just you have to learn how to exercise the muscle of discipline and responsibility.
Because it's a lesson, right?
Yes, yep.
Because I pray God, like, thank you for the lesson you provided.
Yep.
And the lessons that are yet to come.
Amen. Yep.
At the end of the day, everything can be a lesson learned, right? Even in the bad, right?
Yep.
Oh, damn, that didn't work out how I wanted to do. Okay, what can I learn from that experience to do better the next time?
Facts, right? Yeah.
Or just like, how can I apply what I learned in this situation to another completely opposite, different situation that ain't got nothing to do with that?
Yep.
Right? Like, I always tell people, like, me, like, pursuing alpha taught me how to make something out of nothing.
Yep.
Right? Have limited resources to get something accomplished. To have great. They're like, you're so great at time management. I'm like,
you gotta be.
You gotta be.
Yep.
I had to be doing schoolwork.
Yep.
And make sure if something needs to be done, it got
done. You gotta be able to do all these things.
And I ain't had no money.
None.
So,
zero.
Like
zero.
It's like everything that seems bad in the moment ain't necessarily bad. It's building a callus, it's building a muscle memory of like, okay, this is how I can apply the situation.
Yep.
Right. Well, bro, I appreciate you coming through.
This was a great conversation, man.
Yeah, we got to do it again. But as always, guys, be easy or don't, but every choice has a consequence and every action has a reaction. So be your best self because everybody's already taken. And I'll catch y'all next time.
Amen.